Most people aren't waiting to retire because they have to wait. They're waiting because they think they're supposed to. We've all been handed this idea that retirement starts at 65, like it's some official finish line you're not allowed to cross early. But when you really stop to look at it, that number isn't a rule. It's just a habit. And a lot of people are quietly organizing their entire life around it without ever questioning whether it actually fits them. Hi, I'm Michelle, and on my channel we talk about creating a peaceful, confident life after 50, especially if you're living alone, traveling solo, or navigating retirement. I didn't retire early because I hit some perfect financial number, and I definitely didn't retire with $1 million sitting in an account. I retired because I started looking at my life differently. I realized I didn't need as much as I thought I did, and I could structure my days in a way that didn't require constant income at the same level I had before. There's a story we've been told about retirement that's stealing years from a lot of us. The story is that you need $1 million, a paid-off house, and a perfect spreadsheet, and a financial advisor patting you on the back saying, yes, now you may begin your life. And as we patiently await all of that, time marches on. The years that bring joy, the years when you can wander at your own pace, stroll with a friend, whip up a meal that you truly have time to savor, and transform a cozy little home into a sanctuary that feels just right. Retirement isn't about hitting a magic number. Retirement is about designing a life that costs less to live and feels richer to live in. And every year you wait for the perfect number is a year of your best retirement years that you don't get back. So here are the 3 things I did, and I'm going to tell you exactly how they look in my real life, not in theory and not in a spreadsheet. So here's what my actual days look like. I make breakfast at home, I take Louie for a walk, and sometimes meet up with a friend along the way or run into someone in the building. Or I just enjoy the quiet. I come home and work on something I enjoy for a couple of hours, maybe reading, working on YouTube videos, or creating art. In the afternoons, I might go to an antique store or thrift shop, or visit one of my daughters and spend time with my grandkids. I make dinner at home, I read, I go to bed without dread about tomorrow. And that's my day, and it costs very little, but it feels like everything. This is the first secret of retiring earlier than you thought you could. When your overhead is low, your retirement numbers get smaller. You don't have to earn an expensive life. You build a life that doesn't require a fortune to maintain. I rent my apartment, and that's a whole nother conversation I've had on this channel. You can check out the video somewhere in the top. But the short version is my costs are predictable. I'm not panicking at 2 a.m. over a hot water heater, and I'm not bracing for property tax hikes, and I'm not pouring my money into a roof I didn't plan for. My home supports my life, and my home isn't my whole life. I eat most of my meals at home, and cooking at home for me is peaceful. I'm not standing in line somewhere that's overstimulated and overpriced, and overpaying for a meal that I could have made better in my own kitchen. I decorate my apartment from antique stores and thrift shops. Nothing matches in that perfect catalog way, and that's exactly why it feels like me. I choose experiences over stuff, long walks, a library book, a coffee and conversation with a friend, a slow afternoon in a museum, and none of that requires a big bank account. All it requires is time, and time is what retirement gives you. Reducing overhead isn't about being cheap. It's about being honest with yourself about what actually makes you happy. And for me, almost none of what makes me happy is very expensive. I didn't retire and stop earning. I retired from a job. I didn't retire from being engaged with the world. I invested throughout my working years, and I knew my money could keep growing even while I was drawing some of it. We think that money has to sit untouched like a sleeping dragon while we work ourselves to exhaustion to avoid waking it up. But invested money keeps working. It can grow even while you're using some of it. You don't have to stop living to let it do its job. But on top of all that, I built smaller streams of income from things that I actually enjoy, things that I don't have to turn into a full-time job, things that fit inside my life instead of taking it over. The goal isn't a second career. The goal is income that fits inside the life you want, not the other way around. There's a huge difference between I have to work income and I get to do this income. One drains you and the other feeds you. One is a paycheck and the other is a project that happens to pay. And when you build a few small streams together, they can replace a paycheck without replacing the stress of a paycheck. For me, one of those streams is my artwork. I love making art. I'd be making it whether anyone bought it or not. But I figured a way to put my art on projects that people actually use. If you're curious, there are links below this video to my artwork on jigsaw puzzles, Kindle covers, and greeting cards. It's something I genuinely love, and it brings in a little something on the side without ever feeling like it's a job. That's the whole point. You don't need one big thing. You need a few small things you actually like doing. Maybe it's a creative project. Maybe it's part-time consulting in something you used to do for 40 hours a week and now do for 4. Maybe it's content. Maybe it's a small offering. And maybe it's monetizing something you'd happily do for free. And here's the freedom in it. Because you enjoy these things, you can stop. If it stops feeling good for you, you can let it go. If it feels great, you can give more time to it. You're not trapped. You're just living and a little money is flowing in alongside your life. So I still have time for travel, I still have time for friends, and I still have time to actually live my days because I built income that fits around my life. The third one is the one nobody warns you about. You can have the money figured out, and you can have the budget dialed in, and you can have a few income streams and a perfectly reasonable plan. And you can still struggle with retirement because you haven't done the identity shift. For decades, a lot of us were defined by what we did, who we took care of, and what we produced. We were the person who handled it and never dropped the ball. We built whole personalities around being competent and needed. Retirement doesn't just take away a job, it takes away a script. And if you don't make peace with that, the script just keeps running in your head. And you spend retirement feeling vaguely guilty for not being busy. You have to be willing to become someone who isn't always useful, busy, needed, or producing. That was the hardest part for me. Harder than the money. I went from being the person who handled everything to a woman who eats simple meals at home, walks with her dog and friends, decorates her apartment slowly, travels solo, and lets her days just be quiet without apologizing for it. I had to learn that I'm still valuable when I'm not exhausted. That choosing peace isn't lazy. It's the whole point. Because when you live alone, the identity shift is harder, but also more rewarding. There's no one to confirm your worth based on what you accomplished today. You have to decide all on your own that you're enough without the doing. You can do the math on retirement all day long, but if you don't do the inner work, no number will ever feel like enough. So here are the 3 key points. Lowering your overhead means that you don't need as much to enjoy life. Flexible income allows you to keep growing your money without burning out. And the identity shift lets you truly enjoy the life that you created rather than feeling guilty about it. I didn't retire with $1 million. I retired with a clear life, and a clearer life is much more sustainable than a complicated one. It's a simple home you love, healthy meals at home, long walks, a few small streams of income from things that bring you joy, and a home that fits your life now. What feels like the biggest hurdle for you right now? Thank you so much for watching.